All right, so I'm asked to simplify this trigonometric expression using some identities. So the way I'm going to do this one is I'm going to swap out the 1 minus secant squared for something to do with tangent squared. All right, that's one of our Pythagorean identities. So notice here that if I move the 1 over, I get tangent squared is equal to secant squared minus 1. But I have 1 minus secant squared, so that's going to be negative tangent squared. So this is going to turn into cosine squared times negative tangent squared. And then the tangent you're going to replace with a sine over cosine. So you're going to get cosine squared times, let me move this negative out front. Cosine squared times sine squared over cosine squared. And then your cosine squareds can cancel. So that leaves you with negative sine squared. All right. I'm going to go ahead and do it one other time, a different way though. So instead of using an identity to replace the 1 minus secant squared, I'm actually just going to distribute this cosine squared inside. So cosine squared times 1 is cosine squared. Cosine squared times secant squared is going to be 1, and that's because those are reciprocals of each other. And then you could use the old sine squared is equal to 1 minus cosine squared identity to change this around. Okay, 1 minus cosine squared is regular sine squared. So this piece turns into negative sine squared. Okay. All right, for example 2, there's really only one good way to do this one. Notice these tangents are to the first power. So I can't use an identity on them. What I can do though, because I have a tangent on both terms, I can use factoring to simplify this. All right, they have a tangent in common, so I'm going to factor out a tangent. This term becomes a 1, and then this term becomes a sine squared, like that. Now I can replace my 1 minus sine squared with a cosine squared. Okay, so I get tangent times, here, I'll say times cosine squared, and then I'm going to replace my tangent with a sine over cosine. Okay, and then you can cancel out one of these cosines. So this cosine in the bottom cancels with one of these cosines up top. So you're left with sine times cosine. That's it. So we had to use factoring to kind of start that one. All right, we'll do one more here. Simplify the trig expression to just one trig function to the second power. So our answer is going to be something like sine squared or cosine squared, just something to the second power, one trig function. All right, notice that cosine times secant, those are reciprocals of each other, so you just get 1. The cotangent over tangent part, you could set up like this, cosine over sine divided by sine over cosine, and you could do keep, change, flip to kind of see how that plays out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tangent and I'm going to put it back up into the numerator. What happens when you take the tangent and put it back into the numerator? It becomes a cotangent. All right, I'm flipping it up to the top by just changing it to its reciprocal trig function. So what that ends up becoming is the cotangent that was already on top times another cotangent. So this tangent here became that cotangent when I flipped it to the top. So this leaves me with 1 plus cotangent squared, and I'm sure there's an identity for that. 1 plus cotangent squared. 1 plus cotangent squared. Where's my identities? There we go. Oh, okay. 1 plus cotangent squared is cosecant squared. And that's my final answer. Equals cosecant squared. Okay, that's it.